I had my own encounter with AI recently. I come from the 20th century, so I know how to work with organic intelligence as well as AI. So I had saved I have to look at it myself now. Oh, I can read it there. Maybe I need my glasses. I had been working on a story about the 2x2s, which was a group of Christians I never knew existed, but apparently are among us. If any of you are here. Okay, and so I saved it under 2x2. Okay, I saved the group because we chatted about, where does this come from? And then the second one, I had caught an Uber with a woman called Mavis, who I'd been driving with, and took her number because she was a Tanzanian. If Leon Schreiber's here, she has some problems at Home Affairs, and for the last 25 years she has. But anyway, saved her number as well because I said, I work at the Daily Maverick, I'll fix it for you, don't worry. And so a bit later on, I decided I wanted to just, look up something on the 2x2 group, and without me even making eye contact, this is what it's called Meta Llama. I don't know where it comes from. Says to me, I asked for the 2x2 group, my own WhatsApp group. And this thing says to me, 2x2 equals 4. Would you like to do more maths or explore a different topic? I didn't even make eye contact with it. I'm from Pretoria. You just look away. I do see that. I didn't even answer. I didn't even say, what the fuck? Nothing. I left it. And then I went to go and look for Mavis's number to say, I'm having trouble getting hold of Leon Schreiber. So I type in Mavis. Mavis. That's a lovely name. Mavis can also refer to a type of bird. The song thrush. Mavis, software, a voice recognition system. Or perhaps you were thinking of Mavis from a specific I was not thinking of any of that cock. I was not talking to you. This is like the chatty auntie next door who talks to you when you're busy, comes in there and says something to you about a program you know nothing about. It must stop this now. Actually, nonsense. As you can see, I'm very high tech. This changes so fast that the speed of the internet can't keep up. Anyway, in August 2023, that's when this all started, this piece of what you might see, performance journalism. Now, since its first run at the Baxter Theatre in 2023, that was before the election, thanks to Lara Foote and many other people who invited me there, I went back for a second run, and it was called Round of Applause, South Africa Still Standing. Since then, it has played 80 times across the country. It's played at Aardklop, Die Woordfees, die KK en KK en KK en K. Die Suid-Oosterfees, it's been to Neisner, Centurion, and it's also been to Den Haag. And in Afrikaans, it's known as Feesfoos, maar nog regop. It won a Naledi this year, by the way. Now, it was up against some of my oldest and dearest friends, Mark Lottering, Nick Rabinowitz, and Alan Committee. Now, I know you see where I'm going with this. You see what these fellow competitors of mine, don't do the slide, don't do any slides yet, what they have in common. I know you're thinking about it. They're all very, 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 very funny. They're fantastic. So people, this is what peaking late looks like, okay? You've got to be 65 to get there. But it's also important to remember that it is the audience who actually has the sense of humor. Because if you don't, then what is the point of me even being here? So thank you very much. Right. Why slip out from behind the safety of my byline? Because after working with the Daily Maverick from 2014 and onwards with my colleagues, wherever I went and asked South Africans if they knew how we stopped the nuclear deal, none of them knew. Zero, zilch, none. Zero of them, none. So now, these were people who considered themselves to be educated, engaged, and who will tell you a lot about South Africa and what's right or what's wrong with it, but they didn't know. So apart from those of you who attended any one of my 80 shows, and you now know that it was a tiny little NGO with Liz McDade and Makona Lekalakala who stopped the nuclear deal. Read it all in Karen Moore and Kirsten Pearson's book. It's a remarkable thing that these two women, middle-aged women, stopped the nuclear deal in South Africa. Well, it's one of the things I wanted to share with people in South Africa. Then I realized South Africans are hungry for comment and meaning and context. I also was hoping to engage people in the Constitution. I think it's in front of me. Where is it? The preamble to the Constitution of South Africa. This I got from Judge Albie Sachs. It's a beautiful thing. Read it. It really is. In your time, read that. I wanted younger people to engage with it because I was around before there was such a thing. Technically, as you sit here, many of you will be of a generation who's never been free, and you are free. Everybody sitting in this audience today is free, technically speaking. We have all we need to make the changes we need. So the most fabulous response I've been getting to my show are the young people who recognize this new space that we sit in. All right, so just before we go back, I thought let's settle into the current political situation and let's freshen up a bit and realize why South Africans cannot keep up with the daily tsunami of news and corruption that comes at you. I don't blame you at all. It's a cacophony of voices, the same thing that happened at the National Convention. Now, the second slide is a very wonderful South African moment. There we go. Cupcake, we had another family meeting. We've got used to these things here. So we are mid-crisis, and you can see there, he's saying another commission must be needed. And somebody called Esra Ramjan thought he would just ask there, quickly. Looking for a Toba 2020 Corolla. So you wonder what happened earlier in the day. You must have really been, I mean, is this a very rare part? Is this a very special tow bar? And I think you might have had an auntie sitting in the lounge, and he's going on and on all day about this bloody tow bar. She says, no, why don't you ask tonight? There's a family meeting, man. Just ask. Someone will have it, you know. So I'm sure he might have come right. This is such a South African moment, you know. Then the next one. Let's keep on. Let's just keep you in the moment, in the current state of things. Gooi. Okay, so then we have a provincial commissioner of police wearing full combat outfits. One evening, just makes a surprise, press conference, basically fingering the entire government as being part of a mafia network. And then a little while later, the government releases this lovely thing. It says that the security strategy report for 2024 to 2028 has described South Africa as stable and secure, despite a coup d'etat, assassinations, sabotage, corruption, and terrorism being named as key threats. Nothing to see here. Just another day in South Africa. Just pass the ketamine, people, because that's what we need. So I'm going to give you a few little choice favorites that I've performed for audiences in my show. Some of you might have seen it, but these are the ones that I like to keep in. And the perennial favorite is, of course, one about the Klein Trek. It's about the migration of white Afrikaans-speaking people to the United States of America. They are under the impression that they are being persecuted. Yes, it's true that crime and violence is the #1 cause of death in South Africa. Now, all of this happened, my show happened. Just wanted to know, are there any Afrikaans-speaking people in the audience? Ja, hier sit julle lekker en lag, hè? Eating with your black fellow South Africans, lag met wit tande, and they think that you are being persecuted today. This is an amazing audience of people. Okay, so here you are. Any Donald Trump supporters? I'm not going to pick on you. I want to tell you a joke. I think it's being live streamed, but hell, people say terrible things already. I mean, I'm not going to go there, but I'll give you a lovely joke which I think sums up Donald Trump and those kind of people. I've been dying to tell it for a long time. That a lift opens in a portal of some posh hotel, and Donald Trump is standing in the lift. And the woman gets in, and she says, "Oh, God, it's Donald Trump. I love you. You're amazing. Can I give you a blowjob?" And Donald Trump looks at her, thinks about it for a while. He says, "Yeah, well, sure. What's in it for me?" But you know what the real problem is, people? Donald Trump does not speak Afrikaans. Donald Trump does not have cake nets. Because God knows if he did, he knows he would have watched 17 seasons of Boer Soek 'n Vrou. Since 2008, these poor Afrikaans commercial, highly successful farmers with big thighs and even bigger pumpkins have been begging for only one thing. They want love, they want a pompie. That's what they want. How else do we explain this phenomenon of Boer Soek 'n Vrou? Honestly. When people speak of white genocide, I say, ach man, kyk Boer Soek 'n Vrou. So alles vir jou uitsort bietjie daar. Now I see daar's 'n boervrou wat 'n vrou soek. This is how progressive Afrikaans people have become in the new South Africa. Anyone here who's thinking of jumping whatever lines? 'n hele nuwe wêreld gaan vir jou oopmaak daar, hoor. You'll learn a lot of new things. South Africa full of surprises, eh? I'll say. All right. Next slide. Yes, so there's another thing in South Africa which I love. This is what recently I love is X. Is that not how you pronounce it? He's Mr. South African. Elon Musk. So 4 suspects have been arrested in Nelspruit and Mpumalanga for cable theft. Now, if that is not the most diverse group of criminals in the world, the only thing missing is a blind lesbian in a wheelchair. My God. This is amazing. Unity in diversity, people. It is on full display in this country. We've melded into one fantastic little nation here. I mean, a while back as well, there was there was a terrible shootout in Mpumalanga, and these bodies just lay everywhere, and the police line was there, and they photographs of taking another South African tweeted, because they've just left the bodies there now. The criminals just get shot. We don't know how it happens. It's just, oh my God, we've shot them all. And the blankets for everything, and somebody tweeted underneath, well, at least they died doing what they love. Always look on the bright side of life. So then the election happens, people, in 2024. Okay, by now I've prepped the 80, so how many people have seen my show? People didn't know that the Electoral Act had changed. They actually didn't even know election was happening. I can tell you the truth. South Africa's really election? Really? Our 7th election? Yeah, amazing. Anyway, then the election happened, and the script flipped. Okay, and we gave birth to this thing called a GNU. In Xhosa, it's a nu. And in Afrikaans, a rne, which I think is the noise it makes every time it has to deal with the politicians. But now, people, we really do have what we call in South Africa a republiek van alle kante. Mense, en daar's baie kante in die parlement. Te veel kante. Say some of the mense. Now, sometimes if you don't understand Afrikaans, I feel sorry for you, but these socks would not be funny in English. Regterkant, linkerkant, en dan natuurlijk is daar altyd die wit kant. So yeah, there's altyd die wit kant oral. I mean, wherever you go. And on the bus, there's altyd die wit kant. Anyway, but seriously, I would just like us to, for a moment, pause and reflect that a former liberation movement, which governed South Africa for 30 years, however it governed, agreed to share power without violence. And it is our 7th was our seventh free and fair election as well. Rather crowded. We had thousands of candidates to choose from, 3 fucking ballots. No, we love our elections in South Africa. Make it, the longer the queue, the better. We just come back, we don't run. Well, postal vote, we'll stand there and vote, we'll send the pigeon, anything. Now, before the election, people used to ask me whether things would get worse in South Africa. And I would say, worse than what? I'm in Johannesburg. Shame. Some of you from Johannesburg, you've flown down here? Yeah. I mean, in Johannesburg, people would just actually cut down an entire traffic light. And, can you need help? No, it's fine. I'm okay. It's all right. Nobody sees how these things happen. Nobody knows how these happen. And then we also have South Africans who also just like to do things on their own. We don't like rules and regulations. It's a good thing. I mean, there was a philosopher called George Steiner who said that the Dutch surrendered to the Nazis because they were too law-abiding. So anyway, there was an O in Joburg, and I don't blame him because there's a drought there. It's a self-inflicted drought. We now have that kind of thing in South Africa. Same thing as we have serial victims as well in South Africa, not just one serial killer. We have serial victims. But as a result of this, somebody decided they were going to ask their uncle from Mpumalanga to come with one of those sticks that you have in order to divine some water in the back garden. Just like the people in Constantia just sucked dry all the water reserves under the earth when we had a drought here in Cape Town. Didn't share the water at all. Anyway, sucked from each other. The pool on tonight. Where was I? Yes. Anyway, he was in Johannesburg and must have said to her, okay, we need water because the city council's corrupt and everything else. And we said, hierso, daar's hy. Daar wikkel die stok. There's water here. And you drill down, indeed, right into the Gautrain bathrooms. Yes, there's water. Did nobody get the plans? Did nobody bother to phone the council and say, is there anything under my house? Do you not feel the train? Huh? She said, oh, fuck, yes, fuck, is ingedrill daar in die Gautrain in, but it's all fixed. It's all fixed. It's absolutely great. It's wonderful. South Africans have come up with all sorts of inventions. We are known throughout the world for all sorts of things that we've done. And this next slide is something I just think is one of those amazing brainstorm nights. This is, my whole life, us women, we're not designed to use the toilet in public because we pee on our shoes. Tell you the truth. And we get too low to the ground, too low. Things that happen. So anyway, somebody came up with a wonderful thing for the modern woman called a pee-mate. Okay, it's called the Go-Girl, which allows women the convenience of standing in the bathroom, guys. Okay, but my best part of one of this, the South African design, is the people that they suggest should use it. I'm trying to think of, my best one so far is the missionaries. Do you see them there? Brides. Business women. What? You're going to just put it on and just stand next to your bride. If you're a bride and you're at the tea garden, they're taking photographs. Who has to worry about going to the toilet? The one that's also extremely worrying, let's have a look. Traveling women, yeah. Climbers. Now imagine you're the person at the bottom of the rope. And I've got my pee-mate there at the top. I just let rip. You know what I mean? But nowadays, I'm against, toilets that are mixed because men, jy maak 'n gemors in die toilet. Fucking hell, no. Stay in your own toilet. Don't come into our toilets. No, man. But anyway, I did think it would be fun to actually just walk into the toilet next to the CEO and just hoist up your mini skirt and... and then it probably all over your legs or something because it's not going to work. This thing's not going to work. Anyway, I'll carry on. Campers, climbers, skiers, marathon runners, hunters. They should get what for shit. Oh, here comes a rabbit. Anyway, but somebody designed this because it's reusable as well. Huh? People, don't say. For the missionaries in the house, if you've got a long sermon. Okay. Is Helen Zille in the house? Anyone who knows Helen Zille in the house? Okay, good. What goes down at the gathering stays at the gathering. All right, so now before the election, I actually did single out one politician that I thought would be playing quite a major role afterwards, and that is Helen Zille. Helen Zille. I was going to say Karen Zille. Helen Zille. Helen Zille. We know her very fondly in the newsroom as the Zillenator. She is the coalition queen of South Africa. And you must know, if you've lived in Cape Town, that at a certain point when she was the mayor of Cape Town, she needed to hold together a very fragile condition of complete lunatics and cowboys. I mean, Badis Chaban, I think at some point campaigned and said that he would cut off his toti if he didn't win or something. Anyway, these are the people that Helen had to keep together. So in 2016, she published her biography. Some of you might have read it. Not Without Fight. 800 pages long. And that's just the kindergarten years. And in it, she describes how in the early days of her politics, because Helen's been going into the townships for years, they've thrown her with chairs, with snook, they've thrown petrol bombs at her, she's still gone in there for years and years. She would write about how she would, before she went to go negotiate, buy a live sheep. And then what she would do is that she would strap that sheep into the passenger seat of what she was driving at that time, which was a gold Corsa. Not a Corsa, a gold Corsa. And I always used to want to imagine what must it be like to drive past Helen at twilight on the N2 and to look in and see that she is talking to the sheep and that the sheep's lips are moving. And you're wondering what's the conversation. And I can see Helen say, stop bleating. You're part of the negotiations. Just, you're a sacrifice for the country. And she says that in the book, she writes, because she's got a small heart. Julle het 'n klein hartjie, baie lief vir goedjies. She said she bonded with each of those sheep. Of course, later on as choppies. Lekker. But she did bond with them. At least it was conscious sprying, whatever you call it. And then she got the coalition people. This is always a bit of... look, people in Johannesburg must know who they're dealing with. You've got to know she's coming for you. She's coming for you. I was going to give you a bit of insight. I've been around Helen. In 2011, I accompanied Helen, who was then the DA leader, I think, and the mayor, at the same time as the premier, I think. I'm not sure. Just tweeting up a storm and running on, which is unbelievable. And I thought I'd follow her through the country and see what is the impact Helen has made on different societies. And so we followed. And one of the places that for this entire trip, Helen, who thrifts, let's put it that way, clothes-wise, but had kept a pair of stonewashed bell-bottom jeans from the 1970s, which she thought would be comfortable for this nationwide meet and greet she was going to do in South Africa, with a DA t-shirt. You sure Helen's not in the house? Helen? Be honest. Anyway, a DA t-shirt with a nice big logo, then a pair of nice tackies, nice white, lovely. Off we go. So one of the first places Helen goes to, because that's how she is, she's not half German like me, she's like both German. So Helen decides one of the places she needs to go immediately is, of course, Seshego. You know who comes from Seshego? Julius Malema. So we arrived there that morning in Limpopo with Helen and an entourage, and the DA is very excited in Limpopo because Helen at this point is wearing sort of also traditional outfits wherever she's going. She's cooking, she's like a Makoti there in the Eastern Cape. She's dancing in the Western Cape. She's cooking, looking, she's like doing it, man. She knows how to do it. But now she's in Seshego, and the people in Seshego, you could say, look shocked. I don't think they've seen white people in that township for 30 years. And so at the time, the DA was very proud of Helen going there because they know when a German invades, some cock is going to happen, And they wanted to show the residents of Seshego. And then the DA would say, okay, Helen, we're going to go in now. Will the white members of the DA just go stand a bit further back? Nee, nog 'n bietjie agter toe. Fok off, uit die foto uit. Hierso. Yes, stuck. All the black members here behind Helen. And there we are in Limpopo, and there we are in Seshego, and Helen is now on this little meet and greet, and we arrive. And she sees, one of the first things we see is, of course, a proverbial sight in South Africa. We're so used to it. It's the tap coming from a wall, and the pipe going to link it. It's not come yet. It's coming. We just have to wait for the part. It's coming, okay? So, of course, Helen, used it as a wonderful photo opportunity and stood in front of it. ANC. And then she looked over there, and I think it was actually a woman sitting on one of those ghastly toilets that you get in townships with this cloth over it. And Helen, I'm sorry, excuse me. I'm sorry. No, I'll be finished in a minute. No, there wasn't anybody in it, but it was an ingevalde township kakhuis, It's worse than an ingevalde plaas kakhuis. She's in front of it. ANC. And then Helen carries on, and at a certain point in the middle of the road is this ghastly thing we always see in townships when service delivery has collapsed, a pile of garbage. And flies flying around it, nappies, condoms, you just think about it, it's in that thing. And in that moment, for some reason, Helen decided she wanted to stand on top of it. She must wanted a better view, I don't know what. She feels a bit short, she wanted to survey. But now I've been following her, and now we're watching, and all the cameras are there. AN7, they were there. Remember them, hey? That popular, so it's a pity they're off. So AN7, CNN, EC, whatever, everyone's there because Helen's going now into this turf. So she stands on top of this thing, and she starts talking, and I see Helen stops and stands still, and I think what's happened? She had a stroke. I don't know, what's going on? And she takes her hand and she sort of puts it under her shirt and then sort of, keeps the audience going, mesmerized. So she sort of walks back to her car a little bit, but realizes, no, gets back up to the thing. And she carries on talking. And I try to work her, then she stops again. And I'm really trying to read her expression. But it's the Botox years. So I really can't tell. So for the next hour, Helen Zille walks around Seshego, followed by cameras, giving interviews. You might go back on YouTube and see them. And it's going on and it's going on. And then after this, we go back to the restaurant in Limpopo where they drag the leader upstairs. And I hear... And they come down, the minders, and inside a serviette, people, is a live mouse. I'm going to show you the picture just now. Not right now, at the end. Now imagine you're that mouse. Mice are nocturnal. Very, very busy. Especially in Seshego. You've had a hell of a night out. You found the best place to sleep in the world, and there you are. Lekker vast aan die slaap. In the middle of the afternoon, nice sunshine on you as well. And then suddenly you, stay soft. And then you look up and you see that there's a nice wide bell bottom with a little hairy leg, warm, offering you pathway to the stay soft. And you climb up with your little nails and your little tail and your little twitching whiskers. You climb all the way up. She must have felt it. And then you find this little nook. And you fall fast asleep. And it's so cool because every now and again somebody does this. She's coming to Joburg, people. So then I say to Helen, you got to kill that mouse. And she says to me, why? I say, well, it knows too much. Besides which, it might be an EFF mole. So after the election, I had to look at Seshego to see whether this exercise had any benefit at all. And I think Helen got one vote, and I think it was the mouse. So I'm warning you. All right, before we were here, we were there, And where I go, 2016, 2017 was peak state capture. And where I go, I tell audiences what remained in place, what helped us, work through that time. And often it's very difficult for people to imagine a billion. I know I've had to often phone the editors and say there's like 12 noughts after something, and I'm a bit like Jacob Zuma. They're like, oh, what is Brazilian? What's that? What is this? Okay. So I thought that very few people can actually imagine what a billion looks like. And I asked some people in finance, if there are people who know better, shout me out, correct me. So if you want to imagine a billion, imagine every day you spend 10,000 rand for the next 400 years, you would not spend a billion. Do the formula. Okay, that's what a billion looks like. It's very hard to imagine it. It's when you teach children Monopoly nowadays with that machine. They don't know where the money is going. I like to see the money, like Peter Louis Meyerberg, you know what I mean? So that is what a billion is. And so what I try and explain to the audiences then is that Jacob Zuma and the Guptas and all the people involved in state capture took 57 billion out of South Africa. That's what they took. And Paul Holden, my colleague Ferrell Hufford, he's also written about it. Paul Holden wrote this book called Zonda at Your Fingertips. Now, the amazing thing about this book is put it in your bathroom, because if ever you are hartlywig, constipated, then you must just open on any page. And you let rip. Or you pull back in, I don't know. It's the money's all, it's your money. 57 billion of it. Now, I mean, otherwise, the other thing about this book, which is fantastic, is this serves as the handy manifesto of Umkhonto we Sizwe Party. If people were wondering what is the party's manifesto, it's all in the Zondo Commission. It's all in here. It's all in here. It's just lying there. Let me just put this back. This Jeff Wick's book is phenomenal, people. Read it. Please read it. This is just a little something I found in the dustbin. I think it's Floyd's. Floyd? Choop still. I might. It's made in China. Anyway, it's a good fit. I use it, I put it on taxis. It freaks people out. But again, we have to give it up for Stellenbosch, people. Always Stellenbosch. Because Marcus Jooste stole from South Africans 100 billion rand. So those two combined. South Africa is not a poor country. We are an unequal country. That's what we are. That was what was stolen. Corruption is the enemy. And whistleblowers really are our heroes. They come to journalists like Peter Louis and various others, Jeff Wicks, many of my wonderful colleagues. And Babeta Deekran died exposing corruption in the Gauteng Health Department. There are many, many others who we've come to know over the years. There's Johan van Logrenberg, there's Mcebisi Jonas, Cynthia Stimple, Themba Maseko. That's what saw us through. Civil society saw us through. OTA, Corruption Watch, Equal Education, Open Secrets, Section 27, Judges Matter, foundations like the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation, Helen Suzman Foundation, all of them used the Constitution and the law, as did those people who were corrupt, to get us to the point where Jacob Zuma resigns and loses the leadership sort of cohort for the ANC. And Cyril Ramaphosa wins. So 2018 is our year of clarity. We have the Zondo Commission, which we broadcast on public media all over South Africa. South Africans can watch, young and old, and indeed, actually, in the peanut galleries, shout at each other every day, or while it's happening. 4 years, 300 witnesses, 3,000 summonses at the cost of 1 billion. What we learned is that bankers and lawyers and accountants and consultants colluded with the politicians. Bain, KPMG, McKinsey, all of those people. That's what we learned. But the shadow network remains. Next slide. Daar gaat hy. Gooi daai ding. Daar sê. No, sure, fine. Now we've got t-shirts there saying it the other way around, but he'll say a lot of no, sure, fine. Now if you talk to Peter Lou and he says that, you must know there's cock coming, okay? So we've got those t-shirts with something similar to that. What I've thought about this it's here. Anybody? I mean, I'm going to try later on today, but Rebecca stole my props. You know what I mean? In fact, this might even be a real one. The interesting thing about this money, our bribers are really clever because this money, stopped being valid in 2010. Think about it. How clever are they? They went to go and fetch those old notes from Dudu Miyeni's basement or something else. Dudu Miyeni tried to pay a fine at Ota. She came with a wheelbarrow of these 200 rand notes. Expired in 2010, they won't notice. Okay, the only way you can change these notes, people, is to go to the Reserve Bank, a particular branch, a particular counter, on a particular day, between particular times. Up to you. So no, don't accept that cash. Peter Louis took a picture of it. It's genius. It's genius. So you give somebody money that doesn't work. I mean, but generally speaking, that's how we feel about all money at the moment. It just doesn't work. It comes in and goes out. That's basically all that happens to it. Okay, now this is just another little act of, let's just the next slide here, how South Africans in the midst of chaos make art. Now, some of you might recognize that as Lily and Goy Street in downtown Johannesburg. You might not know that this was like an astonishing act of civil disobedience that took place there. Because, of course, one afternoon, people were just going about their business, and that entire street just went... And what was that? What was that? And you know what it was, people? A buildup of methane gas. Farts. And I want to tell you that this was done by a group of people who were disgruntled, who set up a WhatsApp group called the Freedom Farters. They had got so sick and tired of Joburg's revolving door of mayors, and crime intelligence is just so decapacitated, they didn't notice there was a run on beans for over 3 months in Johannesburg. And on that afternoon, everyone said, when the drawl emoji comes, let rip. Afterwards, we were thrilled in South Africa to learn it wasn't ISIS. I mean, the Americans sent out something, explosion in South Africa, and we said, no, man, we just farted it open ourselves. I think the next 2 slides are just kind of, I just love them. This is Malusi Kikaba, look at those eyes. Hello, Malusi. Some of us have seen the Pornhub thing. If you haven't, poor you, sorry for you. But also, I think it was the angle. But, I mean, there we go. And the next one, let's go to the next. Let's catch, but look at that. It's in the eyes, people. It's in the eyes. Huh? Who ate the ketamine? This guy is caught in his own bloody headlights there. It's just thought so. All right, the next one is, you know who I miss? Tito Mboweni. I mean, the sale of pilchards has just gone down. It's flatlined in South Africa. I used to love his recipes on. At a certain point, Gwede Mantashe, somebody had called him a tiger. You know, he'd had an affair or something, and some money had swapped hands. I don't know, 60K, maybe, I don't know. Blamed a journalist or whatever. The woman had called him or said a tiger, and then Tito said something. And then one morning, I discussed with Jonathan Shapiro, who I used to meet, that we should do a cartoon, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Pilchard, with Tito Mboweni. But I like also that being attacked by Floyd is like a dead sheep. One killed by Helen Zille. That's just such a lovely, it's true. One feels that. Boom. Yeah, anyway, good luck, Floyd, with the new movement. Now, let's go have a look. The next one, we're nearly out of time. Here, ladies and gentlemen, is the mouse. Helen's surprise. Here's the mouse. Here it is. There's the date. Look at how stunned it looks. That little arm, suspiciously bent. One wonders where it went. Can you see? It's trying to look innocent. Did you see anything? No. Any movement? No. Anyway, they let it go. There we go. Helen's election surprise. We almost at the end. This is kind of the things that I take out to South Africans to show them this is your own politicians. This is it. Democracy across the world is under attack. It is. Because when people fear their government, it's a tyranny. But when the government fears people, it's democracy. And in South Africa, our politicians are lekker bang vir ons, né? So let's cherish this freedom. And let's make the promises of this constitution real. Because it's there, it's all there. The DNA from the Freedom Charter and everything else is in this constitution. It's possible today. The Changemakers were on stage. There are many other things that protected us as journalists while we do state capture and other things, and that is the law and the constitution, and I'm really grateful for that. So thank you all for being insiders and for supporting us. Don't make eye contact with AI. I'm telling you, everyone's telling you it's taking over. It's not. It's too stupid. I mean, you just have to do like us old people. You just don't talk to it. Just don't do anything, nothing with it. But the terrible thing is now AI has also resulted in journalists being asked, what are your sources? Because now we could have had a hallucination. And I wrote a piece recently, something about World War II and how the Russians liberated Berlin. And my grandmother was there in this, to the ground, bombed to the ground. And someone sent a query back like, what's your reference? And I said, my mind is the reference. I've read thousands of books about the war and the Holocaust. Which one would you like me to reference? It's that absurd. Go away, Rebecca. Thank you very much, everybody else. Thank you. This is for you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Good for you. I'm going to leave this shit here. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.